Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 10 people who can't catch a break. Do you ever have one of those days where you wish you just stayed in bed? Yeah, I'm sure we all have bad days from time to time, but these are people who started their day off in the worst way possible and just can't seem to catch a break. If you guys want to have a better day than these people, then why not subscribe and press the notification bell too. Coming in at number 10, we have toilet paper. So one of the first things many people do when they wake up in the morning is go to the bathroom. Well, one day a guy did exactly that, like he does every other day. Except on that day he'd ran out of toilet paper. Well, not really, but I doubt he's gonna use any of it. That is because there was a ginormous spider right on his toilet paper. I don't know how many of you guys are watching this on the toilet, but if you are, then check your paper. The ironic thing is, many people use tissues and toilet paper to squash spiders. But I guess this spider's finally outsmarted everyone. He must figure you can't kill me if I'm on your killing paper. I guess there's nothing else this guy can do except burn down his house. I'm sure it had a good run. But guys, be honest, if you saw this in the morning, would you just go back to bed? If this is how your day's gonna start off, you know it's not gonna get better. Next up is bike crack. So, cycling is a quick and cheap way to get around. The only downside to cycling is it can be kind of dangerous. If you get into a car accident, you'll likely be fine, what with all the airbags and metal. But with a bike, it's just you and the elements. Anyone who's ever fallen over their handlebars knows it can be majorly painful. But a lot of the time, falling over your handlebars can be your fault. You may have been going too quickly over a bumpy road. Or maybe you weren't paying attention to what was in front of you. Well, one day a guy was cycling when all of a sudden he fell over his handlebars. But his bike stayed upright in the exact same place. You may be wondering how on earth this happened. Well, take a look at the bottom half of this image. As you can see, his bike tire literally got stuck in the crack of the road. That's what you get for using those pro-thin bike tires. I guess the town didn't think anything could fit down this crack, but they must have not thought about these thin bike tires. Just imagine dropping an iPhone down this crack too. I just hope the guy was able to get this bike out of the road. Otherwise, this is a King Arthur situation. Next up is laces. So this is clearly someone who's not getting enough sleep. Nobody is their best form in the morning. Before we've had our morning coffee or morning few coffees, we're not exactly switched on. Many people have spilt their milk while making cereal, or maybe they've squirted their toothpaste right into the sink. Those things are understandable, but one day a lady made the dopiest mistake I've ever seen. As she was walking to work, she realized her feet were super cold. That was when she looked down and realized her feet weren't even in her shoes. She'd slid her socks into her shoelaces and then tied them up. When she realized, she posted on Snapchat saying, "I'm super sleepy." She said she was very confused as to why she was so cold after putting on her work shoes. And it looks like she's walking around with a random iPhone plug too. She really does need to get her life together. Much like Roseanne, she really needs to lay off the Ambien. Next up is iDIVE. So most of the people having bad mornings on this list were doing pretty routine things. They were just waking up or going to work. But here's someone who was kicking off their day in a very fun way. One morning, somebody decided to go skydiving. Now, because this is a list of people who can't catch a break, you may assume that while skydiving, a lot of things could go wrong. But don't worry too much, this guy didn't forget his parachute or something. Instead, he caught a very unfortunate photo of himself skydiving. This was just after he jumped out of the plane. Now, at a first glance, this image doesn't look too bad. But if you look down or up slightly, you'll see a black square in the background. You can put away your tinfoil hats, as this is not a UFO. Instead, this is the guy's iPhone that's fallen out of his pocket. I am really not sure who takes their iPhone skydiving, or if they do, who puts it in their pocket. But this guy clearly did, and as you can tell by his face, he was blissfully unaware as his iPhone plummets to the ground. It's safe to say he didn't find it again, but if he did, I'm sure it wouldn't be working. If it was a Nokia brick, however, it would have slammed into the center of the earth. It really is nothing stronger than a Nokia. Have you guys ever broken technology in an insane way? If so, then let me know in the comments. No offense, but I doubt anyone's story is as extreme as this guy's skydiving story. Next up is jeans. So we all know that one of the most embarrassing things are sunburns. It can make you look incredibly ridiculous, especially when your friend decides to prank you with a summer tattoo. Well, one sunny day, a girl decided to wear her new pair of jeans. She was looking forward to showing off this new fashion item, and her jeans were so fashionable they had holes in. She had a good day, but when she awoke the next day, things were not good whatsoever. As you can see, it looks like she's knelt down in red paint. But no, instead she just wore jeans with holes and got sunburned. To be fair, you wouldn't think to put sunscreen only on your knees. But guys, seeing as summer's coming up, maybe you should start doing this if you're wearing holes with jeans. I guess today she could wear shorts and knee pads only, and then she'd have an equal sunburn. Another key piece of advice is don't fall asleep while having a snack. Another girl also learned that the hard way. Next up is not an excellent morning. So if you work in a business which involves shipping, you know that a lot of things can go wrong. On YouTube, there are entire videos dedicated to compilations of shipping fails. But these usually involve large metal containers, not the most breakable things known to man. That of course being eggs. One day somebody came into work at their egg job and they saw this. To be honest, when I saw this, all I could see was Russell Crowe. I'm assuming that's some kind of poster and he's not doing a side job there. I know when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. But what if life gives you yolks? I guess if life gives you yolks, it's time to clean up. I feel seriously sorry for these two guys cleaning this whole mess up. And the guy taking this image really does need to pitch in. Who knows, maybe this is just How To Basics next video. But guys, have you ever seen such a bad workplace mess? Next up is screwdriver. So screwdrivers are made to solve problems. If you need to mend or fix something which involves screws, then they are essential. But one day a guy got screwed by his own screwdriver. As you can see, he was trying to unscrew two large bits of metal. His screw came off the metal and he thought he'd done it. But then he took a second look and to his amazement, his screwdriver had broken in the screw. I'm guessing the strongest man in the world screwed this on the first time. But really, have you ever seen a screwdriver break in a screw? I'm gonna take a wild guess and say this tool was made in China. But guys, have you ever had something this annoying and ridiculous happen to you? The whole purpose of a tool is something to help you, but it looks like this tool is not doing its job. Next up is puppy. So this is an example of someone who really does want to go back to bed right after waking up. One morning, somebody woke up and went downstairs to make their morning cup of coffee. But as they were at the top of the stairs about to go down, this was the sight they saw. What would your first reaction to this be? You would likely assume that you'd been burgled, or perhaps a wild bear had gone through your house. But no, instead it's something much more innocent. Or at least seemingly innocent. You see, this guy had recently got a new puppy. He'd been having the puppy sleeping in his room for a while. But he wanted to have a first attempt at giving the puppy free rein downstairs. But as you can see from this image, it doesn't look like he's quite ready to be left alone yet. He destroyed his own cage, tore up his whole bedding, and it looks like he peed on the floor too. I'm not sure if this puppy is secretly a grizzly bear or what. I just hope this puppy doesn't get too big when it gets older. At least this guy has a DIY chicken wire fence to keep his dog downstairs. You may as well not ruin your entire house, right? Next up is shipment. So we've already seen one massive shipment fail on this list. That was of course with the eggs. But don't worry, that's not the only shipment fail on this list. We all know that eggs are very breakable, but at least they're pretty cheap and easy to clean up. One thing that's not, however, is a glass bottle of Coca-Cola. Well, how about 1,000 glass bottles of Coca-Cola? Well, this is one guy who had one terrible morning coming into work. He shared this image and said Coke shipment came into work last night. Walked in to see this morning. Maybe whoever's working in that warehouse is on Coke. I'm not sure which kind though. You never know, maybe this was an evil plan done by Pepsi. But can you imagine the cleanup required after this? Not only is there broken glass everywhere, but there's also sticky liquid all over the floor. I just hope this warehouse is ant-proof. And considering one of those glass bottles costs so much, I guess this is a big financial loss. The customers at this restaurant better get used to hearing, "Is Pepsi okay?" Which shipment fail is worse, the Coca-Cola one or the egg one? Leave a comment letting me know what you think. Next up is sub-fail. So usually after a bad day, one nice thing you can look forward to is lunch. So one day a guy decided to treat himself to a Subway sandwich. He walked into the sandwich shop and asked the lady to cut his sandwich into 3 pieces. But when he got back to his desk and unwrapped his sandwich, this is what he got. You don't exactly have to be a geometry expert to know that this is not how you cut a sandwich into 3 pieces. Maybe the lady'd already cut it in half and she didn't feel like making a brand new one. This is kind of like me when I have to share something with a sibling. You pretend you're getting equal pieces, but really it's definitely not. That woman better be glad this guy's not a Yelper, otherwise she would be getting 1 star. Next up is impatience. So a lot of us aren't very patient people. It's kind of a natural human instinct. Now usually impatience isn't always a bad thing. In fact, sometimes it can help us. But when it comes to driving, patience is a good quality to possess. Well, that is exactly what these two people learned. One day at a highway toll booth, 2 people said "me first." They then must have had one very intense 5-mile-an-hour race. But these 2 guys trying to avoid a couple of seconds of waiting ended up waiting around for hours. This is because they were stuck in this highway toll booth for absolutely ages. If you think it looks difficult to get into this position, think about how hard it is to get out. This took place in Buffalo, New York. And if you know anything about New York drivers, this makes a whole lot of sense. I guess this is what happens when the 2 most stubborn people on the road finally meet. Next up is keyed. Have you ever gotten your car keyed before? If so, you know it's incredibly annoying. And it also often means some really mean guys out to get you. Well, one day somebody was accidentally keyed. But you will not believe how it happened. One day a guy was driving when he had to pull over due to a flat tire. He then inspected his tire and found a key he'd ran over. But unfortunately, he'd realized he'd been keyed in a very odd way. Somebody must have dropped their key on the road and this guy's accidentally ran over it. The guy posted this online and said he'll give the key back if the owner changes his tire. But looking at this key, something tells me the owner's not gonna want it back. This happened in Russia and went viral. And it's not hard to see why, as this guy's literally having the worst luck of his life. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for the person who was the most unlucky on this list. If you guys want more amazing videos, then check out my second channel for more. There'll be a link to that on screen in a moment, so check it out. But as always, thanks for watching. Click on some more videos on screen right now, leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.